Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into a true classic of personal development, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. We're working from a pretty comprehensive book review for this one. It does a great job boiling down the core ideas, the strengths, and even tackle some of the criticisms.
Exactly. And our mission here is pretty clear. Cut through the hype, pull out the really valuable stuff, and help you understand why this book, written way back in 1937, is still so incredibly talked about. Think of this as your shortcut to getting the essentials on this foundational text.
Yeah, because just hearing the title Think and Grow Rich, you might think it's just, a manual for making quick cash. But it's honestly so much more. It's really a whole philosophy for achieving pretty much any big goal, not just about money. Okay, so if it's not just a simple money manual, what is the blueprint Hill laid out? Let's set the stage a bit. What are the origins here?
Sure. So the author is Napoleon Hill. Book came out in 1937. It's firmly in that personal development, self-help space. Usually runs about 300 pages. But the really interesting part is how he got there. This wasn't just him thinking stuff up. He apparently spent 25 years studying the most successful people of his era. We're talking Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, those kinds of figures. The book aims to sort of distill their practices into a workable philosophy for anyone.
Wow, 25 years. That's some serious dedication. So after all that research, what was the big takeaway, the core idea?
The fundamental argument is really powerful. It's that true wealth and maybe even achievement in general comes from this mix of first a burning desire, then unwavering faith, and finally a really definite plan of action. And the book basically walks you through how to build those things step by step with its 13 steps to riches.
Right, the 13 steps. That's the heart of it. And the review mentions they're packed with stories, exercises, real examples. So where does Hill say we should start this whole process? What's step one?
Step one is desire. He flat out says it's the starting point of all achievement.
And he's not talking about just kind of wishing you had more money. No, this is about having a clear, almost obsessive desire that you turn into a very specific financial goal. It's that intense hunger that kicks everything off.
Okay, so a burning desire is the fuel, but you need more than just fuel, right?
Yeah.
How do you actually harness that, turn it into something real?
That flows right into the next steps. Faith and autosuggestion. This is where the power of belief comes in. Hill really hammers on using affirmations, constantly feeding positive beliefs to yourself. That's autosuggestion, and using visualization. The goal is to literally reprogram your subconscious mind. What's key here isn't just that he talked about mindset, but how he pushed for this almost scientific daily practice. It wasn't just think positive. It was specific mental exercises, way ahead of his time, really.
Reprogramming your subconscious. That sounds intense. Does he talk about potential pitfalls? Is it just about thinking happy thoughts? Well, implicitly, yes. He makes it clear faith isn't enough by itself. You also need specialized knowledge and imagination. Knowing stuff isn't power unless you organize it into a plan, right? At imagination, he calls it the workshop of the mind. That's where ideas are born, plans take shape. He even breaks down imagination into synthetic, just rearranging old ideas and creative, which is about genuinely new insights. You need both.
Okay, so you've got the desire, the faith, the knowledge, the imagination. Where does it go from there? How do you connect the inner work to, actual results?
That brings us to organized planning, decision, and persistence. This is where the theory meets action. You take your desire and you build precise, written plans. You have to be decisive, make firm choices, stop procrastinating. Indecision just kills momentum. And then, maybe most importantly, persistence. You need the willpower to keep going when things get tough, to endure failures. It's about disciplined execution.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, there's one principle people always mention, the power of the mastermind. What did Hill actually mean by that? It sounds like more than just good teamwork.
Oh, it's definitely more than just teamwork. It's about this, synergistic energy that happens when two or more people align their minds towards a single, definite purpose. He saw it as building this trusted group, like an advisory board, where the combined brain power is literally more than the sum of its parts. You get insights you wouldn't get alone. It's a huge community matters point. Surround yourself with people pushing in the same direction, people who elevate you.
Mental synergy. Interesting. You almost picture these old tycoons in a smoky room, minds melding. What else did he cover about how the mind works?
He went surprisingly deep, for the time, into the subconscious mind and the brain. He saw the subconscious as this bridge between your conscious thoughts and what he termed universal intelligence. Think of it like a giant cosmic database. It runs on emotions, habits, and the brain. He described it as kind of transmitter and receiver for thoughts. It almost hints at ideas like collective consciousness, the shared pool of thought energy.
Wow, that does sound a bit mystical, tapping into something bigger. And that leads to the final principle, the sixth sense.
Yeah, the sixth sense, he basically calls it intuition, or those gut feelings, those hunches you get. He believed it emerges when all the other principles are working in harmony. It's like the peak state, where you can sense opportunities or warnings before they're obvious.
Okay, now we have to touch on the chapter that often makes modern readers a bit uncomfortable, the mystery of sex transmutation. The review flagged this one. Can you explain its role in Hill's system briefly?
Sure. Look, it's definitely a product of its time. Hill saw sexual energy as this incredibly powerful life force, a core creative drive. His idea was that you could consciously redirect or transmute this energy away from purely physical expression towards your creative work, your business goals, whatever your main ambition was. Think of it like channeling your most potent energy source towards your biggest goals. It reflects some older psychological ideas about sublimation. It might seem odd now, but for him it was about focusing all available power.
Right, okay. That puts it in context, even if it feels a bit dated. So beyond the 13 steps themselves, did he identify other major roadblocks to success?
Absolutely. He spent a lot of time on what he called the 6 basic fears. Fears that hold people back. These are fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of losing love, fear of old age, and fear of death. And he doesn't just name them. He offers specific ways to challenge and overcome each one. It's about managing your inner landscape.
So how does he actually present all this? What's the book feel like to read?
It's structured very clearly. Each chapter tackles a step, uses stories often about those famous figures he studied to illustrate it, and then wraps up with exercises, practical stuff you can do right away. The tone is very conversational, really motivational. Hill writes like this enthusiastic coach, lots of quotes, stories, questions to get you thinking. Sure, some language feels old-fashioned, 1930s slang, maybe a bit wordy sometimes, but the core messages, still surprisingly easy to grasp. That's probably why it's lasted.
That sounds pretty engaging. Okay, let's shift to the impact. What are the book's big strengths, according to the review? Why has it endured?
The strengths are pretty compelling. First, that timeless framework, those 13 principles, they still resonate. Very applicable today. Then, the real-world examples. Hearing about Rockefeller, Edison, Ford, it does build confidence that this stuff works, The actionable exercises are also key. They push you to actually do something with the information, not just read it. And maybe the biggest strength, the focus on mindset shift. He was talking psychology, belief, desire, imagination way before mindset was a trendy buzzword. He offered a practical way to change your thinking to change your results.
Sounds like a solid foundation. But for balance, the review also points out weaknesses and criticisms. What are those?
All right, you got to look at both sides. One thing is the outdated references. Some stories, some social attitudes, they definitely feel antique. And sometimes he's maybe too worshipful of the wealthy figures. There's also the overemphasis on wealth. Financial success is probably the main measure in the book. Let's talk about, say, personal happiness, ethics, social good, and as we mentioned, that sex transmutation chapter, it just lands weirdly for a lot of people today. It can feel obscure, even uncomfortable. Finally, a big one is the lack of diversity. His examples are almost all wealthy white men from a specific era. That definitely reflects 1937, but it's a limitation when you read it now.
Okay, makes sense. So, boiling it all down, what does this deep dive mean for you listening right now? What are the absolute key takeaways you can grab from Think and Grow Rich?
I think we can pull out 5 core ideas. Number 1, clarity of purpose. You have to know exactly what you want. Write it down, make it specific, look at it every day. Number 2, mind over matter. Really cultivating that belief, that faith, using positive self-talk. It genuinely shifts things. Belief becomes reality. 3, community matters. That mastermind idea. Progress speeds up massively when you have a supportive group working with you. 4, persistent action. This is non-negotiable. You need consistency. You need resilience. You got to keep going, especially through setbacks. That's where breakthroughs happen. And 5, subconscious programming. Understanding that your background thoughts, your habitual emotions, they drive your actions. So you need to be really mindful about what you're feeding your brain.
That's a really helpful synthesis. So who is this book really for? Who gets the most out of digging into Think and Grow Rich?
Well, definitely aspiring entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Professionals looking to advance. Absolutely. Also, students of personal development, psychology. It's a foundational text, You see where a lot of modern ideas started. Anyone feeling stuck, maybe dealing with self-doubt or procrastination. Hill gives you a direct challenge and a path. And really just anyone who's ready to get serious about a goal-oriented mindset and wants a system to help achieve something big. So our final take. Think and Grow Rich absolutely stands as one of the most influential self-help books ever.
Mm-hmm.
The review gives it a solid 4 out of 5 stars, and that feels right. It's a mix of psychology, storytelling, and those practical steps. It's genuinely inspired millions to aim higher.
Yeah, and that core message that your mindset really dictates your results, it just resonates so strongly today, doesn't it, in our very goal-focused world. So here's something to think about as you go on with your day. The world's changed a lot since 1937. What parts of your own mindset are you actively working on or maybe need to challenge to really grab the opportunities and tackle the obstacles that exist today? And if you enjoyed this, please do like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in.
And we look forward to having you join us for our next deep dive.